All right. So,
Thank you very much.
I'll hand you over to Paul Richings, our Creative Director.
Thank you. Thank you, Emma. Wow, you did cover a lot of ground there. There was a lot of ground covered, and yeah, and the words ideas and creative mentioned a lot of times, so obviously tying very neatly in this. Where do ideas come from? Indeed. I'm Paul Richings, as you probably already know, Creative Director here at BDA. I've lost the beard since that shot there. That's when I started my search of ideas. No, that's not me with the beard, that's the other one. What a bunch, honestly. That's where I started my creative journey when I started at art school. That's a couple of years ago, as you can probably tell. I was lucky enough to have won a competition to win a flight on Concorde. What an experience, flying on Concorde. Didn't go supersonic, went from Heathrow to Luton. Please don't laugh. It was its inaugural flight that's never landed in Luton before. I was quite proud of that. So we're going to look at where ideas come from, or my thoughts on where ideas come from. Because without ideas, we're not going to move on. We're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to change. We're not going to adapt. We're not going to live and breathe. Our businesses aren't going to function. So ideas are pretty important. So I'm just looking at a few themes here, a few triggers, if you like, for what helps ideas come to life. The first one, I think, is taking risks and take something normal and do something risky with it, get noticed. Yeah, great, sounds good. So let's take some risks. I've got an example of some risk taking here, which I don't know if you've seen in the media recently. I'll run it for you. A few of you have seen it. I don't know about you guys, but I'd say that's pretty risky from somebody that produces flat pack furniture. It's quite bold, isn't it, to do something like that? But incredibly clever. The technology they've employed there it's effectively a pregnancy testing kit in a magazine. In Sweden, admittedly, you can't get it here yet, so don't get too excited if you do want to try it. But yeah, I mean, that's very risky. I think you'll agree. What else? Where else do ideas come from? I think going the wrong way. It doesn't hurt to go the wrong way. Look in the opposite direction to everyone else. You might find something new. You know, the black sheep, that's reference to BBH, the agency that created this. This is going back to the 80s, a common theme going on here. This is what their team, Sir John Hegarty and the team put together for Levi's. They were wanting to promote their black jeans. Levi's were horrified when this was presented to them. They literally said, "Where's the jeans? You're not showing jeans on here. What's going on?" And the team said, "Well, you want to sell black jeans. That's not normal. They're unusual. That's a rebellious thing to do." So that's what we're doing here. We're trying to get that feeling, that zig when everybody else is zagging across. And they did run with it. The campaign was successful. They went with it. And now I don't think it's unusual to see this kind of messaging or this kind of imagery. But when it was first put out there, to not show what actual product you were putting and to show animals instead was quite groundbreaking. I think something else, where else do ideas come from? And it is fear. I think we should all fear being mediocre. There's nothing to be gained through being mediocre. It's not going to break any new territory. We should be fearless, because when we are fearless, that's when we become creative. So don't conform. If you have a bold new idea, grab it, as this man did. I don't know if you've seen this before. A few years old, British Heart Foundation. Tricky subject. I mean, how do you get people to engage with doing CPR? It's not, it's frightening, really. If you think about it, or if you've ever done it, it's not something that you choose to get involved with. So, yeah, this was the campaign with Hard Man Vinny, fearless Hard Man Vinny, and the campaign was a huge success. But I haven't got the full video here, but there was humour, humility, direct message as to what to do, a real understanding, not to be fearful of this, bringing humour to something that's very, very serious. I think the stats show... I need glasses for this one, I'm afraid. 5 million views initially when this came out, and it was estimated that 40 lives were saved as a direct result. That's not bad, is it, really? Through fighting fear. I think ideas also come from being human, having empathy, sharing in life's moments, being real. It's in our DNA. I personally don't think there's anything but to love Marmite. Even if you don't like Marmite yourself, I think you've got to love what they do. I don't know if you've seen this campaign as well, the Gene Project, where you get invited to do a gene test to see if you're a lover or a hater, and apparently can actually tell because of doing the gene tests on food types in your genes. It does give off whether you are a lover or a hater. Fantastic campaign, very emotive, quite funny, heartwarming. I don't know if you've seen it, where you've got families that get their reports coming through, whether they are a lover or hater, and the reactions around it. It's just genius for some black syrup in a jar. I think getting out of routine and your environment, your comfort zone, thinking outside of normal, that's a common theme. It's a common theme to just break out of what you currently do, to break from the daily routine. If your office environment stifles you, if what you do as a routine stops you from doing different things, I think you need to get out of yourself sometimes, change your environment. As I've got there's more than one way to skin a cat. I think you'll be familiar with this. It's been around for a few years. In 2009, Compare the Market were pretty bored with how the insurance industry was selling itself, promoting itself, marketing itself. There was just nothing groundbreaking. There was nothing changing. Everybody was doing the same thing. And they decided that they needed to do something about it. And the driver for it was, they obviously wanted to do some, to spend on advertising. And with words like compare and market being incredibly expensive to use digitally, they said, I think our key challenge is getting around that. We don't want to have to pay to keep digitally marketing to people that with such high costs on words. And there was born the meerkat. Genius, really. Let's just look for a cheaper solution to digital marketing and then produce a character from that. And as we all know and love, I think most of us love it, it's developed into something that's way beyond just a character now. It gets involved in films, it gets involved in absolutely everything. It's got a family, it's probably next door to us. Serendipity as well, I think, chance encounters, meeting new people, new conversations. We're obviously doing that now, but making those connections. Who knows what characters you're going to meet? It's famous that companies like Pixar, Apple, IDEO, they actually set up their organisations so that people can collide, if you like, together. Apple's new building is basically a donut, and the circular shape of it just enables people to keep meeting new people within that building, to have those serendipitous conversations, to find out things from people that you don't normally speak to, that you wouldn't normally have conversations with, to have different conversations, learn new things. Next slide, I think. So your next idea could literally be sat next to you, or in front of you, or behind you. I've chosen this ad. I don't know if anybody's seen this one as well. I'm not going to run this. This is a Virgin in-flight safety video. Again, it's a couple of years old now, but it's absolutely groundbreaking for what is technically something that you have to show or do on an aircraft to promote safety. And there's a little bit of a battle going on now because a lot of these airlines are doing the same thing. They're coming up with absolute filmed or animated epics to just try and engage people. They're entertainment pieces in their own right. They're probably better than some of the films you're watching on the aircraft now. I think New Zealand Airways are doing, they've done a Lord of the Rings take on it. And it is it's a cast of thousands, and some of the original actors are in it. And this is for an air safety video. So it just goes to show what you can do with it. I think having serious fun. There's nothing wrong with having fun in your working environment. Smiling is infectious, laughter is infectious, and yeah, if it's spreading, it's going to go viral, isn't it? Is anybody familiar with the character here? Yeah. Where's he gone? Dumb Ways to Die. Has anybody heard of this campaign? In Melbourne, Australia, metro trains, they wanted to get across a simple message. Stay away from the railway lines. They're bloody dangerous. Well, yeah, it's a public information type messaging. They wanted to be bold. They wanted to be different with it. And they came up with all of these different characters and the ridiculous way these characters could die or be killed. And they do get killed ridiculously. But it's just injecting humour again into another subject that you could gloss over with, a serious subject that you would ordinarily just gloss over and it would probably just be forgotten. This kind of stuff becomes memorable. This kind of stuff becomes important. It's fun when you engage with it. 157 million YouTube views when it debuted, and I think, even if you're not that close to a railway line, I think if just for the sake of engagement and seeing something creative in a way that changes your mindset, this is brilliant. Keep it simple. I think one word is something we try and use as if you like, a methodology to base your brand or your business around. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, because this is literally just finished, I think, last week. This finally ended an 8-year run. But Cadbury's decided that they'd obviously brainstorm and decide what word summed them up, and they came up with joy. They literally there are so many iterations of where joy goes. I think you can see they've had some fun with this. I think there's nothing they haven't done, and that's across the world as well. They've had carnivals, they have social events, their products are based around it. They just create around this word joy. Being pushed for time at the moment. So asking what if. Yeah, be curious, ask why, experiment. I'm just going to run you another ad.
I would describe my political views as the new right.
I say that I'm left.
Feminism today is man-hating.
I would describe myself as a feminist, 100%.
I don't believe that climate change exists.
We're not taking enough action on climate change.
I think it's about time these people got off their high horse and started looking for credible problems that actually exist.
It's absolutely critical that trans people have their own voice.
That's not right. You can't, you're a man, be a man, or you're a female, be a female.
Women do need to remember that we need you to have our children.
Could I be friends with someone that says a woman's place is in the home?
Right, OK, well, I'm an expert at flat packs. If you've any trouble, just watch me.
So it looks like I've got your instructions here.
I think so. Let me help you.
Let's have just that bit there.
Describe what it is like to be you in 5 adjectives.
Okay. Frustrating.
Dedicated.
Opinionated.
Lucky.
Ambitious.
Offensive.
Solemn. I have ups and downs.
Strong.
I want to say attacked. Misunderstood.
Name 3 things you and I have in common.
We're both male, we're both confident, and we're both loudly spoken.
We know each other better than people who've known each other for 10 minutes should.
You seem quite ambitious and positive, and you've got this really, got a glow. Do you know what I'm saying? Your aura's pretty cool.
I'm sensing, are you former military or something?
People have said that, but there is no history. So are you then ex-military?
Yeah.
If you're ex-military, I'm very proud of you already.
Well,
So
I grew up in a bit of a rough state. I've experienced homelessness. I've known what it's like to have absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm definitely most grateful just for life.
We've only just met, but I think you're the sort of person that would listen to me and we'd have a discussion rather than argue.
Yeah, you could hang out with, man.
let's go. My chance.
Goodness sake.
You're right, mate.
Fitter than I look.
Perfecto.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
So basically, I think we just built a bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here you are.
Each take a bottle and place it on its corresponding markings on the bar.
Attention. Please now stand to watch a short film.
Feminism today is definitely an excuse for misandry, man-hating.
If somebody said to me that climate change is destroying the world, then I'd say that is total piffle.
So transgender, it is very odd. We're not set up to understand or see things like that.
I am a daughter, a wife. I am transgender.
I feel like the battle for feminism definitely isn't done. The fight is never going to be over, if I'm honest with you.
You now have a choice. You may go, or you can stay and discuss your differences over a beer.
I'm only joking.
You had me for a second then. Well, I'm having a drink.
I'm having a drink.
Yeah.
I want to discuss.
Beer.
Yeah, beer and discuss.
Cheers.
At the end of the day, mate,
About
I've
reaching
enjoyed
out to
working with
people,
you.
yeah. And, you know, even if you wanted to convince people about your point, the productive thing to do would be to sit down and have a
Engage,
beer.
engage.
I've been brought up in a way where everything's black and white, but life isn't black and white.
Yeah, I'm just me.
Yeah.
Smash the patriarchy.
I'll give you my mobile number, you give me yours, and we'll keep in touch. I'd have to tell my girlfriend that I'll be texting another girl. She might get upset with that, but I'll have to get round that.
I'll have to tell my girl.
Sorry, a bit long, but yeah, apparently all genuine, that. A far cry from that. Come a long way, Heineken, hasn't it? And be surprising. Who doesn't like a nice surprise? Full of emotions, and everyone can take a part in it. I don't know if anybody knows where this scene is from. A few people, obviously. Just to put it in context, for those of you who don't, this is a hotel environment. There's a rat loose in this hotel. And there's John Cleese, massive creative talent. I'm just going to let this run, but it's not as long as the last one.
Waiter. Waiter.
Un momentito.
Some cheese and biscuits and a coffee, please.
Anything to follow?
I've ordered some cheese and a coffee.
Certainly.
Coffee, please, Sybil. Here we are, Mr. Carnegie. Polly, would you get the biscuits, please?
Here they are, Baldy.
Cheddar, Danish blue, Edam.
A little Danish blue, please.
Certainly. Edam,
No, thank you.
biscuits.
Would you care for a rat?
Just the biscuits then, please, Polly.
Black or white? Black or white?
Black, please. Is that
There we are. Here are the biscuits.
I think somebody got influenced by what was going on from Fawlty Towers, and I think McVitie's took something from that. Here's another one as well. Oh, you're sweet.
I can't believe you bought a puppy just for today.
Cheap trick.
Yeah. She's obviously the first one was a rat. She's small enough. As David says, it's a little bit of a cheap trick. Thank you.
Well done.
Come here, you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you. So, Paul, don't go anywhere for a sec. I know Pepsi wants to wander off somewhere.
She's got Pepsi, by the way.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Pepsi, for coming in and making that cameo for us, which is brilliant. Paul, or anybody in the audience, anybody got any questions for Paul?
I've got a big dog at home, really.
Yeah. Where's your handbag for it? Yeah. Anyway, I think there was some really great stuff in there, some really entertaining bits and pieces, some of the Heineken ad, about differences of opinion, really clever stuff. Paul, the Dumb Ways to Die one is something that my children introduced me to that because they sung it and they thought it was brilliant, and they're the other side of the world from Melbourne. But for you, Paul, there's obviously lots of tips, tricks that you can use for creativity. Is there one that you particularly like, or ways that you like to make these things happen?
Yeah, there's. We were talking about this the other day about stepping in somebody else's shoes. So quite a good way of looking at a problem and how you can reframe it is put yourself or your team into the thought processes of somebody else. As you brought up earlier, it could be Donald Trump, it could be Mick Jagger, it could be Lady Gaga. If you've got a problem and you want to frame it, you've got your problem statement laid out. What do we want to do for our business? Don't think of it from your own perspective. Think of it from how you think it would be if you were in Trump's shoes. Oh, maybe not Trump, maybe Mick Jagger, maybe Lady Gaga, Alan Sugar. Just put yourself, walk in their shoes. It's just a great way of thinking differently about a problem, and you can be stupid with it, and you don't have to worry about what thoughts are coming through. If you're in a brainstorm situation, you might have ideas and you think, I don't really want to share that. But if you're allowed to be given somebody else's shoes to walk in, it gives you a platform to have stupid ideas. And who knows what can come from ideas. You've seen some of the stuff there. You just need to be open-minded and think differently about things.
Well, have fun with it.
And have fun with it, yeah, absolutely. Get a dog.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. Anybody got any other questions? No. Well, thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you.
And now, teas and coffees. Yeah, round of applause for Pepsi. Teas and coffees and bits and pieces about.